Welcome everybody to Extreme Off-Road Silly Builds, and today we're dealing with the 2020 Lamborghini Sián Roadster. Now this has 1,532 horsepower, 1,006 pounds-feet of torque from its 7 litre twin turbocharged V12 engine plus its electric motor. The car itself now weighs 3,169 pounds, has its all-wheel drive system still, but it now has off-road tyres and off-road suspension, and it can now do 0 to 60 in 3.192 seconds. 0 to 104.918 seconds, and go to a top speed of 277 miles an hour, although we will not be getting up to that kind of speed on this series. So yeah, that 0 to 60 time isn't quite as quick as the standard car, but yeah, the top speed is quicker and the 0 to 100 time is quicker as well. It's purely not as quick to 60 because of those off-road tyres, but yeah, still, this should be pretty good. It is our first Lamborghini on this series also. I don't really have a benchmark for the manufacturer itself, but we do have plenty of hypercars that have done reasonably well. The likes of the Lotus Evija, the Hennessy Venom F5, so both of those are in the top 20. The Lotus Evija is actually in the top 10 still, so yeah, this could go either way, quite frankly, given its huge amount of power. But even with the off-road tyres and off-road suspension, it's still got really good handling and braking, and obviously the launch, acceleration and top speed are great as well. Obviously the off-road capability is going to be on the lower side, because even with the raised off-road suspension it's still quite a low-slung hypercar. So yeah, like I said, this could go either way. It could, you know, perform really well with the bumps and the jumps and handle all of the power, or it could be an uncontrollable mess. So yeah, it's either going to be one of those, to be honest. So yeah, let's see what it can do. Extremely fast car still, so it's on the How Fast Will It Go series, and it's the fastest Lamborghini we've had on that series. It's not slow either. That's my main concern, is the fact that it might have a bit too much power. Especially when you consider this wasn't meant to deal with these kind of conditions, nor was it meant to deal with the raised suspension or the off-road tyres. So yeah, this is well and truly out of its comfort zone, but we've seen other cars that you wouldn't expect to be quick on this series be monumentally quick. AMC Rebel the Machine, for instance, in the previous episode managed to get into 3rd place, beating out plenty of off-road vehicles. So yeah, this could also do the same. It's hardly a slow car even on these surfaces at the moment. Issue that might crop up is the fact that it's quite a nervy and twitchy car when it's on these kind of loose surfaces. So it's going to, you know, not only make me a little bit on the cautious side, but also potentially make it spin out at some point, which I hope doesn't happen. Obviously we do have free rewinds to use per car on this series, but they can still slow you down even when you do rewind it and try and correct the mistake, because you then be even more cautious to try and not make the same mistake again. Still dealing with everything okay so far. Luckily it still does weigh a fair bit, so it's not going to get thrown around too much. It's hardly a heavyweight either. The reason I think the Lotus Evija was as quick as it was, because despite that being well and truly out of its comfort zone, it was still quite a heavyweight car, and a lot of that weight was on the low end of the vehicle. So a lot of it was low down, so even when it got bumped up and down a lot, it was still able to keep itself grounded for a bit. So yeah, whereas obviously this does not have that kind of weight balance, you know. It's got an engine, it's not batteries or anything like that. And the motor is, you know, a supercapacitor, it's not batteries or anything, so none of it's quite low down as it would be in the Lotus Evija, that's for sure. Down there as well though. So had no troubles with the twisty part because it is quite still on a down car. And with these tyres, which are obviously offering not quite as much grip as it would normally, but definitely more grip here than the slick tires would do. And that's a pretty reasonable time. Not quite as quick as the AMC from the previous episode. 3 minutes 18.874 is still pretty good, especially for a hypercar that is well and truly out of its comfort zone. So yeah, that means it is quicker than the Lincoln Co. Sián Racing 03, as well as the Hot Wheels Diora 2, the McLaren 620R, the Cupra Urban Rebel Concept, the Lexus RCF Track Edition, and it knocks the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro out of the top 25, which is obviously an off-road vehicle, so yeah, it's quite impressive to be quicker than that. But we are slightly behind the Porsche 550A Spider, which is one of the oldest cars that we've had in this series, and definitely one of the, actually I think it is the oldest in the, yeah, it's the oldest car in the top 20 still, so yeah, behind the most ancient car here. And yeah, we're also slower than the Audi RS e-tron, talking of, you know, those electric cars with their batteries way down in the body. That is a perfect example of that, as well as the Nissan GT-R Nismo and fellow hypercars like the McLaren 765 LT, Hennessy Venom F5, the Lotus Evija, and yeah, the kind of supercar Aston Martin 177. So yeah, not the most impressive car we've had on this series, but as a first timer from Lamborghini, it's pretty good. And to beat over off-road competition is also fairly excellent, considering it's not an off-roader at all. It's just a shame that it was a little bit nervy and twitchy at times, and yeah, definitely could feel that a lot of that power that this car has wasn't getting utilised as well as it could have done. So yeah, so at the end of the day, some of that power was being wasted, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, it was quick, it was fun to drive, and yeah, it wasn't too problematic, unlike you'd expect given the amount of horsepower it's got and the fact it's a hypercar on going and off-road. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.